But here's what nobody asked out loud. If the list doesn't exist, what were those binders? Because that same week, a group of Republican social media influencers appeared on camera holding sleek black folders labeled Part 1, The Epstein Files. They posted photos. They went viral. The content was real enough to generate headlines. These weren't leaked documents. They were handed out, deliberately, at a White House event. Influencers got the files before Congress did. Let that land. The people tasked by law to oversee the Justice Department had to watch content creators reveal official documents on social media while they sat waiting for a formal briefing that never came. This is what control of information looks like. It's not about hiding everything, it's about choosing who sees what and when. Now enter the hearing. Massey didn't come to perform, he came to extract answers. And the first question he asked cut straight through every layer of carefully rehearsed talking points. He referenced $1.1 billion in wire transfers, specific amounts, specific dates, specific institutions, the kind of numbers you don't invent, the kind of numbers that require someone somewhere to have moved real money through real banks. He asked Bondi whether she was aware of these transfers, whether anyone at the DOJ had investigated the flow of funds connected to Epstein's network. Her answer was not yes. Her answer was not no. Her answer was a version of "I'll get back to you" from the Attorney General, about $1 billion money trail, in an open congressional hearing. Then came the moment that nobody in that room could explain away. Massey entered 4 specific documents into the official congressional record, not rumors, not anonymous sources. 4 documents, now permanently part of the formal government record. The first, a statement from former Labor Secretary Alex Acosta. He didn't resign quietly. He told investigators why. He said he had been informed that Epstein belonged to intelligence and that he was told to leave it alone. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a former cabinet official's sworn account of being ordered to back off, and that order came from somewhere. The second document, a detailed account from Epstein's own personal bodyguard, who warned law enforcement about Epstein's deep connections to the CIA, a man who spent years in proximity to Epstein, watching who came and who left, speaking directly about what he witnessed. The third, a report from Fox Digital confirming that Epstein's private calendar contained planned meetings with senior CIA officials and high-ranking Obama administration figures. Not allegations, a calendar. The kind of document that requires physical access to produce. The fourth, a Wall Street Journal investigation documenting 36 separate meetings between Epstein and Ehud Barak, former Prime Minister of Israel, former head of Israeli military intelligence. 36 times. The same man, the same Epstein, the same calendar. 4 documents, all now in the congressional record, all pointing in the same direction. Epstein was not a lone criminal. He was a connector, and the people he connected are still protected. But here's where the story takes a turn that most coverage missed entirely. Because while the hearing was happening, something else was quietly unfolding on the other side of town. A deputy attorney general, Trump's former personal lawyer, made an unannounced visit to Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. No press release, no formal statement, no public log. The visit was not disclosed through standard channels. Within days of that meeting, Maxwell was transferred from her facility to a minimum security prison. Officially, routine. Procedurally, unremarkable. Unofficially, the timing is impossible to ignore. And then the leaks stopped. For months, internal documents, redacted names, and DOJ memos had been finding their way into the press. After that prison visit, the flow of information dried up overnight. The silence was not coincidence. Silence like that cost something. When Congress returned, Chairman Comer announced what he called a major document release. Cameras rolled, press releases went out. The public braced for revelations. What arrived was 97% already public. Documents that had been available for years, repackaged as transparency on the exact day of a crucial congressional vote. Not 2 days before, not a week after, that day. This is what manufactured accountability looks like. It has the shape of truth without the substance of it. And all of this connects back to one question that nobody in that hearing could answer directly. Who is on the list? Not the influencers, not Bondi, not Massey. The FBI director himself, when pressed under oath, admitted he had not personally reviewed the files naming Epstein's alleged clients. He runs the FBI. The files are in the FBI's possession, and he hasn't read them. That's not an administrative oversight. That's a choice. Because according to victims who cooperated directly with federal investigators, women who sat across from FBI agents gave sworn testimony and named names. Those files detail at least 20 men. Among them, a CEO of a major international bank, a royal prince, a Hollywood producer, a prominent government official, a former politician, an Italian car company owner, a Canadian billionaire, a rock star, at least 6 additional billionaires. These are not rumors. These are names recorded in official FBI interview documents, FD 302 reports filed by agents during the 2019 Southern District of New York investigation. The same investigation that produced Epstein's federal indictment. The same investigation that ended when he died in custody under circumstances the official record still cannot fully explain. The security camera footage was lost. The guards were asleep. The autopsy raised questions the medical examiner refused to resolve publicly. And the clients, still unnamed, still uncharged, still untouched. Bondi's response to all of this was not outrage. It was not urgency. It was a practiced calm that only makes sense if you understand what she's protecting. She deferred to ongoing investigations. She cited privacy laws. She promised to look into specific grants, and then admitted she had no idea what had been cut. She pledged loyalty, not to the law, not to the victims, not to the public, but to the individual officials sitting beside her in that building. I would run through a wall for them. That was her quote, in a Justice Department hearing, on national television. That's not a legal defense. That's a loyalty oath. Here's what we know. The list existed long enough for the Attorney General to reference it publicly. The binders were real enough to photograph. The wire transfers are documented. The CIA connections are sworn testimony. The calendar meetings are on record. The 302 files exist and contain names. The prison visit happened. The leaks stopped. The document dump was timed. None of these things are speculation. They are documented events that form a single coherent pattern. A pattern designed to protect something. The question is no longer whether Epstein had powerful clients. That has been confirmed by victims, by investigators, and by the files themselves. The question is why. After all of this, not a single person on that list has been named by law enforcement. Not one. Not in 2008. Not in 2019. Not in 2025. Because in this system, accountability has a ceiling, and that ceiling is set by the very institutions being asked to enforce it. Massey asked the question the room was afraid to ask. Bondi gave the answer the system was designed to produce, and somewhere in a filing cabinet behind a classification stamp with a redaction running across every name that matters, the list is still there. If you've been watching this story and wondering why it keeps circling without ever landing, that's not a failure of journalism. That's the design. Stay with it. Because the only thing that changes the calculus of power is the refusal to look away.